We're here at yet another of my favorite UU ceremonies. They're all my favorites. And I love the water ceremony because in this ritual, we acknowledge our dependence on this essential element of life. So healing and life-giving, and yet also that force of destruction, an elemental power. And I love how sharing the waters reflects on the sharing of ourselves in community, how we mingle and create something made up of all of us, yet is never just one of us. And I love the water symbolism that's so rich that we can draw wisdom from, like this Zen story told by American essayist Mark Nepo. A monk tells his student to go and meditate on the banks of the river until he has learned all that the river has to say. And the student takes this seriously. He's going to learn what the river has to say. He heads to the river and he spends several hours finding the right, perfect place to sit. Right beside the water, all he can hear is the rushing water, and the bank is unstable and it's a bit overwhelming. Up at the top of the hill, he can see how the river flows and shapes the land, but he can't hear the river. And so the student finally settles on sitting under a beautiful willow tree close to the river so he can hear it, but a safe, comfortable distance away. And the student sits and he meditates and he falls asleep. And he wakes up and he feels guilty and strains to focus, tries even harder to listen to the river, dozes off. His mind races as he tries to figure out what the river might say. He tries to empty his mind and he just struggles. And after a few days of sitting under the willow tree, the student's exhausted and confused. He's unsure of what he's supposed to be learning or hearing. At this moment, a monkey wanders by and jumps in the river, just splashing and hooting with joy. And the student begins to weep, and he decides to just leave and return to the elder monk and tell him of his struggles and what happened. The monk hears his story and he sighs with compassion and says to the student, "Ah, the monkey heard the river. You just listened." We need to be in the river to hear the river. We need to live in order to feel alive. When we sit back from the river, we'll never fully hear what the river has to say. Now we can get in the river and just be like the monkey, finding joy in the moment. We can get into a kayak for one and paddle along in a straight line on our own. But I think it's good to have company. Now I imagine Unitarian Universalism as a big open canoe, welcoming us all on board, letting us hear the river while protecting us in the tricky bits as we all paddle together. And these days I feel like the river of life is in full spate. It's moving fast. The turmoil created by the COVID pandemic has unsettled all of us, unsettled the way we live, rising inflation, stagnating wages, intolerance for different identities, the damage from weather extremes, increasingly authoritarian and fascist elements in politics are causes for genuine concern. The rise in tragic mass murders here in Canada, like the recent devastation in Saskatchewan. All of this is unsettling us at a deep level, even if we're not always conscious of it. Life is not the same anymore. The rapids are rising. There might even be a waterfall ahead. It's good to be in the big canoe together. And we need life jackets. We all need a little extra security on this part of the river. And that means we need to tend to our well-being. So this year, we're creating space for us to heal and ground ourselves in self-care and our common values. Our educational focus is healing and growing, and each month we'll explore an aspect of wellness, all of us together, from children to youth to adults. Our first family service on intellectual wellness will be in 2 weeks. And next week, I'm holding a half-day retreat, Quiet Harbor, so we can begin in mindfulness. I invite you to check out the Shining Chalice in the weeks to come and check our website for details and resources as we move throughout this year of healing and growing. Wellness practices that help us heal and grow are a life jacket for the mind, body, and spirit. And we need those life jackets as we paddle the river in our UU canoe. We all cope better when we know deep down that we're capable and competent, that we're cared for, that we have people to turn to and safe places to be, when we feel connected to a source that supports us. So this year, let's heal and grow stronger, more resilient, better able to navigate the rapids of the river of life. May we paddle together in our UU canoe, wearing our wellness life jackets, tending to our spirits, caring for each other, healing and growing. May it be so, so say we all.